brothers and sisters. Welcome to the constant sweet remembrance of God. Welcome to Simran of the perfect master Ishwar Puri Ji. As we sit here and remember him constantly, which is Simran. It is exactly like Simran. And Simran, she is a very wonderful soul, and she is part of the coordinators. And she will have a talk after me, a recorded talk. So I thought, since Simran came, her name, I would talk more about Simran today, about the power of Simran, the sweet remembrance of the Lord, and how in this world everybody is doing some type of Simran or another. The wife is thinking of what is she cooking, or the things of the house, so she's doing Simran of the house. And the farmer is thinking of his crop and plowing the fields and is doing Simran of the field. So Simran is many different types, and the Simran of God, the names of God, it pulls the soul upwards. It pulls the soul towards the heavens, and the Simran of the world is just distracting. So Simran has been prescribed by the masters to keep our thoughts single pointed, to keep our thoughts single pointed attention. And they say, the saints say that God dwells and lives in his names. So when you repeat the names of God, he himself resides and dwells in those holy names. And those holy names, the Muslim saints call them by different names. And they Simran in the Muslim Sufi saints call it zikr. And they said there's five types of zikr. There is zikr lisani. Lisan in Arabic means the tongue, that people do the zikr with their tongue. And all the saints and masters, including Saint Kirpal, say that this type of Simran is the weakest type of Simran, because um, we are doing the zikr with the or the Simran with our tongue, and yet our mind is going here and there, here and there, here and there, and it is going all over the place. So the tongue could be saying the Simran, but the mind. So Simran, the saints gave Simran to really tie the mind, to put ropes around the mind and keep it engrossed in the sweet remembrance of the Lord. So Simran is the sweet, constant remembrance of the Lord. And the saints prescribe that we should do Simran at least 2 to 3 hours per day as minimum. To progress on the spiritual path, we should keep Simran for 2 to 3 hours. However, after some time, um, the Simran, just like a clock, like an automatic clock, it ticks automatically, one tick after the other tick after the other tick. The same thing, our Simran will become automatic. At the beginning, we have to put some effort to keep to make our Simran automatic. It takes time. I remember when I first got initiated, and I was like, those names were so hard, and I couldn't remember them, and I was calling my initiate friends, and they were repeating the names for me, and then I had to get them embedded in me. I had to get them embedded in me, and it took some time. So to make Simran uh, automatic, like the saints, their Simran is always automatic. They don't go even one moment without the remembrance of Father God. And to make it like that, we have to put first an effort, and then that effort becomes an effortless effort, and it just starts resounding all the time, all the time, all the time in our mind. And that way, our hands could be working in the world, but our mind rests in the glory of God. So Simran makes our mind rest in God. And Simran has so many benefits, so many benefits. I cannot even describe, I will probably forget half of them if I'm going to start to recount them. But one of its most powerful thing is that it dispels the forces of darkness. It dispels the forces of darkness not only in this world, in the physical world, but also in the astral world and in the causal world. So when we start to meditate, we encounter so many. The night becomes a jungle, and there's so many entities. And when we meditate, we hit the negative power on its head, and then the negative power tries to attack us, and it usually attacks when we are in meditation, if we fall asleep. If we fall asleep and we come down to the throat center, that's like the headquarters of the negative power when the soul comes up here, and then it attacks us. There are negative entities that come and attack us. And then what do we have? We have Simran. Simran that is charged and electrified and magnetized with the thought transference of a master soul. A master soul, he charges, electrifies this Simran, and it becomes powerful. And each word of the Simran has each word of the Simran is connected to some spiritual plane that it resembles. So each word has its own power, each word has its own meaning, and each word has like its own energy. So that's why they say, the saints say, we have to repeat the 5 names, not just one name. We have to repeat the 5 names because each name is connected to one spiritual plane, and it's one name of God in that spiritual plane. And then it's like a stairway. It's like a stairway to heaven, stairway to Father God, stairway to the kingdom of God. That once we start to repeat the names, we are going up the stairs. The first name, the second name, and the third name, the fourth name, and then up to Sachkhand, the last name of Simran. So yes, Simran is magnetized, charged, and with the love of the master. And it acts to dispel all negativities in this world and the other worlds. And it also adds God to us, adds love to us. Simran, repeating Simran is an act of love in itself. It's an act of love because we are remembering the Lord and we are thinking of the Lord. So I was saying in the Muslim Sufi saints, they said that, there's the zikr lisani, and then there is zikr qalbi, which is from the heart by concentration, like how they try to make the zikr with the heartbeats, with their heartbeats, some saints. And this is also not as efficient as is the third one, the third type of zikr, which is called the zikr al-ruhi, which is the zikr al-ruhi means with the soul, and it has the full attention of the soul. And that is much, much more powerful. So when we compare the zikr of the tongue, or the simran of the tongue, and the simran of the soul, and that has full attention, it is much, much more powerful. And of course, Simran has to be done at the third eye center behind the 2 eyes, where the soul resides. If we do the Simran from here, then what happens? It pulls us up. It's like knocking at the doorway of God. To do the Simran here with full attention and full devotion, with love and devotion, we are knocking on the door of God, and He has to open. And what happens when He opens the doors? We slip into spiritual vistas, casements opened up of spirituality that is untold and cannot be described. And that is the astral, causal, super causal, and up to God and the kingdom of God. So Simran, when done with full attention, what does it do? It brings the holy melody of God, the shabd, and the word God, the nad, the kalima. It brings the holy sound. That's why it's called Surt Shabd Yoga. So Simran opens up the and makes the holy sound commence. And the holy sound, of course, all that when it comes, it just pulls us out of the body, and then we die to this world and start to live in the higher worlds. That's why they say, take not God's name in vain. Take not God's name in vain, because God's name is this Simran, and don't take it in vain. Like, take it very, very seriously, as God lives and dwells in His name. In His name. So Simran acts in this world, and you can try it out. I tried it out. So all these 23 years, I tried the power of Simran. If you were driving and an accident was supposed to happen, and you remember Simran, the accident will not happen for sure. If somebody is falling, you see somebody falling, and you do the Simran, nothing will happen to that person. So it has its magic power, and that power is in us, and we can test it in the outside world. So if you haven't tested the power of Simran, try to test it. If somebody is coming to you angrily, wants to beat you up, just repeat the names of God, repeat Simran, and that person will totally change. And I also tried that when I drove. Sometimes I get people mad, and one time a guy opened the car and wanted to come to beat me up, and I opened my window. He was so angry; he really wanted to beat me, and I just repeated Simran in my head, and I said like this, and totally his anger diffused. His anger diffused, and he went back, he went back to his car. So Simran has untold powers in it. It has untold powers and has the power of God in it. And it's given to his children, us. It's given to his children for our protection and to keep the Simran of God as much as possible, not just 2 or 3 hours, and make it automatic. That brings the nectar of God. That brings the nectar of God, and it brings just the peace, and it brings the wonders of God, the untold wonders of God open up. There are a lot of people who do the rosary, who do the rosary, and Saint Kabir said that those people that do the rosary, they turn the rosary, but their mind, the rosary, doing Simran with the rosary, but their mind is somewhere else. Their mind is somewhere else on the worldly affairs. So they are not doing the Simran of God. They're just turning the beads of the rosary. And this is very, very, very weak Simran. And even, I think Saint Kabir said that one time the rosary itself fought with the man and said to the man, "Why are you turning me around? And your mind is going here and there, here and there. Uh, do the Simran of and then the rosary said, do the Simran of the thought with full attention, and I will show you the divine glory." That was from Saint Kabir. He said that about the power of Simran. Simran is charged with tremendous spiritual power. Tremendous spiritual power. It's just electrified with divinity, with Master, and with God and the kingdom of God. So this is just my introduction for today in honor of Simran, because I hope she's here. And in honor of Simran, because she's gonna do Seva, and I was so excited to. I didn't hear her talk yet, but I'm gonna play it now. So I welcome Simran, and I think she is gonna talk about the benefits of satsang, the benefits of satsang, and one of the greatest benefits of satsang is that when we meditate, that there is grace when two or more gather in me, in my name, then there I am, and then so much grace is showered during Simran, sorry, during satsang, and when we meditate after satsang with full attention, if we're not thinking of anything else except of Master, you will have like guaranteed there will be an experience in God, yeah, of the holy light and the holy sound. This is how much grace that that we have inner experiences due to grace. And during satsang, and when we meditate after satsang, so much grace, and that grace will pull us, as we cannot see anything inside or hear anything without the grace of the Master. And satsang brings showers of grace. When we remember the perfect living Master, sit in his warmth, then all grace is showered on us. So now I will play Simran's talk.
Hello everyone. Thank you Master for this seva. Today's topic is benefits of satsang. Let us start with a few words of Great Master, where he explains the benefits of satsang. By drinking the drops of nectar social needs and interacting with worldly people, the manmukhs, the teachings of the Master and the promise that we gave to our Master starts to take a back seat, as it is a known fact that our minds are easily influenced by the company we keep. If we keep company of people who are more inclined towards materialism, we too are soon going to get fond and attached to the materialistic things. Similarly, if we keep the company of lovers and devotees of the Lord, a desire to love and worship the Lord automatically awakens in us. Therefore, as Grace Master says, Satsang is a fence that protects a crop against damage or loss. It is a form of protection for the efforts we have made. It helps to preserve the fruit of meditation. Therefore, the second form of Satsang has a huge role to play in keeping true spiritual seekers and initiates on their path, to assist them in achieving their ultimate spiritual goal. Some of the benefits that one experiences from these satsangs are, for both seekers and non-initiates, it creates a platform for them to find out more about the teachings of the Master and the discipline required to follow the path. A place where doubts are and can be cleared, and seekers have a clearer information about the path. But for initiates, these satsangs are a way to keep in touch with the Master and his teachings. As Christ says, "Where two or more are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them." These satsangs are a constant reminder that we are not the body, but a character playing out our role on this stage, and when the time for us to exit comes, we do so gracefully. Satsang keeps us on the path without going astray. It reminds us how important this human birth is, the only form in which we can make direct contact with the Creator through our living Master. Satsang helps us to understand and examine the various concepts of the path, the importance and the significance of the teachings of the Master. It dispels our doubts and fears. It frees us from negative thoughts and saves us from wrong deeds and action. Satsang helps us in developing better qualities like humility. It teaches us the value of doing seva for our Master. It teaches us how to develop love for the Sangat. Satsang helps us in learning to live in the will of our Master, by constantly reminding us that we need to learn to accept and not expect. Since the discourses in Satsang is only based on Naam, it helps us to channel the attention inward and upward towards the eye center at the time of meditation. Satsang helps us to dissolve doubts, helps us to build faith, ultimately leading us towards one-pointed devotion of the Shabad, which makes us successful on our spiritual path. But most of all, a satsang helps in creating love and devotion for the Master. In satsang, there is no room for any form of ill will or belittling anybody. Its sole purpose is to create real love for the Creator and His messenger, the Guru. Satsang, in simple words, is a gathering of the lovers of the Lord, where all thoughts and talks are directed towards the Beloved. Those attending forget for a while the ugliness and problems of the world, and a feeling of love and devotion is generated in their hearts with the desire to go back to Him. So hence, it can be said that there is no machine more complete and useful other than satsang for transforming our downward thoughts into virtuous ones. Because when we are in the company of virtue, we automatically become free from all blemishes and sins. Apart from these benefits, the second kind of satsang also plays an important role in the inner satsang. What is inner satsang? The inner satsang is considered the highest of all satsangs. It is to contemplate on the radiant form of the Master within. The second satsang is an outer expression of what we need to experience within. So when we are told that we are not the body in satsang, we understand what it really means when we meditate on Nam as per the instructions of the Master and take our attention up and out of this body. It is then that all the external expressions start to take their true form. The false love for the false world leaves us, and true love and longing for the true Lord develops within us. By making the attention one pointed at the eye center, we hear the melodious resonance of the word ringing within us. By following this melody, the dhun, this voice, this pure sound, we establish the direction we must follow to reach our true home within. By the radiance of its light, we travel the inner journey, stage by stage, region by region, till we finally arrive back home. It is here where we truly become humble and the 5 vices leave us once and for all. Therefore, doing bhajan and simran with love and devotion is of utmost importance and the only way of attaining our ultimate goal. There is a small story that illustrates inner satsang. Once a perfect master and a few of his disciples were walking towards a small village. The disciple asked their master the purpose of this visit. He answered that he was going to give the people satsang. When they reached the village, the master did not stop. He kept on walking. A disciple questioned the master, saying that he thought the master was going to give satsang. The master answered that he had done just that. In other words, the inhabitants were blessed with inner satsang. A small quote from Sarbachan summarizes it all. Why do you stay in this world, O brother? What profit is there in wandering here? Make a resolve and seek him in satsang. Thank you and sorry for all the mistakes. Please accept my seva. Hello.
Thank you, dear Simran, Sister Simran. That was so beautiful. I loved it. And Simran washes the dirt of sins of our mind for that we have collected since millions of ages. That's another benefit of Simran. It washes off the dirt. So now we can do a 5 minutes of meditation, and I'll play a master video afterwards.
Welcome, friends, to this afternoon session of our 3-day program here. I was wondering why people feel that other people are dying, but we will not die. I have never come across a person who says, I think I'm going to die. And yet everybody dies. In the physical body, everybody dies. We see other people dying, yet doesn't occur to us we might die suddenly any time. What is preventing us from realizing all the time that one day we will die? That this body is very temporary and we have to leave it. In India, there are yogis who wear saffron-colored robes. Some of them don't know why they wear, but the old ones know why they're wearing saffron-colored robes. That's the color of fire. It is to remind them every day that one day this body will be cremated in fire. Just to remind them that this is temporary, what you're wearing. And don't bank on this body for too long. It's going to go away. That they need a reminder, that people need a reminder that one day we will die, looks odd to me. We see people dying all around us. At my age, I have seen more people dying than most of you have seen. And yet I think maybe I can make an investment today in a bond that will give me yield after 10 years. I see old people of my age in their late 80s trying to make investments for 10 years, and they don't know in 1 second they can die. What is it in us that makes us feel that other people can die but not us? The real reason for that is that we never die. The real reason is that the consciousness which is making us feel that we will never die is telling us the truth, that we will never die. Because we never die. The body dies. The death of the body is merely casting off a particular clothing we are wearing. It's just one of the garments, one of the covers upon ourselves. It's one of several covers. But inside these covers, we never die. The self of which I spoke in the morning never dies. It doesn't die because it was never born. It's a very difficult concept. Impossible for the mind to visualize. When did we come into being? When did our soul come into being? We say, once upon a time. You cannot say once upon a time when no time exists. You can say once upon a time when you are in a time frame. The time frame doesn't start till we get a mind and start using it. One of the garments. We put on a mind on ourselves, we put a sensory perception on ourselves, we put a physical body on ourselves. Time is everything for us. Time is the only thing that keeps moving, whether you like it or not. Time becomes our master. Time becomes our destiny. Time becomes our trap, the biggest trap. The biggest trap we ever had was time. And we can't think outside of time. It's impossible for the mind to visualize, to contemplate, to conceptualize what it would be like if there was no time. People tell me that there is one time where there is no time, and it's called now. I was surprised that there is no time in now, that now is timeless, and we are all living in now all the time. Somebody gave me a book to read, The Power of Now, how you can live in the now. And my question was, where else are we living? I've never met anybody who's not living in the now. I don't know anybody who has the capacity to live anywhere outside of now. They don't even have the capacity to go outside of now. And yet now has no time. Now, they say, is a meeting point between the past and the future. It has no time. Even a billionth part of a nanosecond is time. Before I can utter the word now, it's past. Before I uttered it, it was future. It never stopped. It didn't hold on at now. It became the past. And all I could do was to recall it from my memory. Because you can't experience the past except through memory. We have not been gifted with any other vision, any other method of looking at the past except through memory. We remember things. We can relive them by remembering visuals. We can remember words. We can remember events. But we remember. We use memory for that. The past is accessible only through memory. And memory means it's not happening now, it happened earlier. That's why we remember it. So past is already gone. What about future? At least there is something we can in store for us, our destiny, packed up in the future. And maybe future is flowing, and the experience of events flowing from the future are constituting our present. Not at all. If we did not have the capacity in reason to hope, to fear, or to anticipate, there would be no future. Did you ever realize that future, what we call future, is a function of these three functions of consciousness? We hope for things, we create a future. We are afraid of things, we create a future. We anticipate this will happen like that, we create a future. And these three things are not different. They are all anticipation. Anticipation of something good we call hope. Anticipation of something which is not so good we call fear. And what is neutral we call anticipation. It's the same thing. It's a function of the mind that creates a future. In order to hope, in order to fear, in order to anticipate, we need time. Doesn't matter if it's a second or more. And that leads us again into the past. Think of it very scientifically, and you will find that whatever we have called future was indeed the past. Because we had to create the future by hoping, anticipating, and fearing, which were all taking place in time, therefore they were the past. Now had no time at all. So now is a very strange situation that we are all living in a timeless state. Then how come it doesn't look like that at all? There is something happening which makes us feel we are living in the present. The present is merely a rapid, visual, multi-dimensional recollection of the immediate past. That's what we call present. There's no other present. When we say, when was this world created? And I give an honest answer now. It's an honest answer. Because there is nothing else. Without time, there is nothing else except now. If we go beyond the mind, what time frame will we go into? We'll go into now. Therefore, when we say we apply the rules of worldly time, we apply the rules of beginning, middle, and end, which were merely conveniences created to pack events into. The creation by mind of beginning, middle, and end, which we have given several names, including names of gods, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, in India. Who are these gods? They are merely to represent that time exists. And the beginning we call Brahma, and this middle portion we call Vishnu, and the end we call Shiva. We have given all kinds of names to these trinities because trinities create time. The experience of time that we are having is a very valuable thing for this kind of experience. It's a very valuable thing for having a non-body, ethereal body experience. It's also a very useful thing to have a pure mental experience. They all take place in time. With one difference. In the physical body, with this cover on, we deny to ourselves any other experience of time except the physical time. And this physical time is not governed by our experience but by our watches and clocks. That's another big trap. Supposing I'm having a good time, having nice coffee with a friend, and I say, well, it's only 15 minutes have passed. I look at my watch, 1 hour. Oh, sorry, I didn't know 1 hour has passed. My experience was not 1 hour. My experience was 15 minutes. I believe the watch and not my experience. We are trapped. On the other hand, we sit for meditation. I want to sit for meditation for 2.5 hours. It looks like 3 hours. And I look at the watch, 15 minutes. No, I thought it was 2.5 hours, 3 hours. A friend of mine who was a regular meditator, lived in San Francisco many years ago, and invited me to come and visit him. So I came and stayed with him. And he said, very good, Ishwar, you are old disciple of great master, must have done a lot of meditation. I had to bite my tongue when he said that. And therefore, let's meditate together in the morning. I said, well, I wanted to sleep really. But he said, no, 3 o'clock meditation time. So to keep up faces, I had to get up at 3 o'clock also with him. And we both got up, and all in regular position, we squatted round, closed our eyes. At 3 o'clock sharp, we started 2.5 hours of meditation. Now, frankly speaking, I am not a good meditator because time and again my curiosity took the better hold of me to see what he's doing. So I opened the corner of my eye to see what he's doing. By coincidence, every time I opened my eye to see, he was looking at his watch. After 15-20 minutes, I said, let me see now what's going on. He was just doing very nicely. After we sat 2.5 hours like that. And then he said, oh, it was a very nice meditation session. I said, it was, my friend. The only difference is you were not meditating at the third eye center. You were not meditating on your beloved master. You were not meditating on anything spiritual. You were meditating on your watch. When we are so conscious of how much time we are spending, do you think you can pull attention inside like that? Haven't we made it into a ritual already? That this is the nature of a trap around us, that we are caught up so much in this time frame. People say, do 2.5 hours of meditation. Supposing I was watching my watch for 5 hours, it meant nothing. And supposing for 5 minutes, my beloved master appears and pulls me inside and says, let's fly. Those 5 minutes will be more valuable than 2.5 hours looking at the watch. It's not the quantum, it's not the quantity, it's the quality of meditation that counts. Great Master explained to one of his questioners who asked, how much is good meditation? So that I can do the right time of meditation. Great Master said, in this world, in this life, a day and night consists of 24 hours. How much time are we giving to meditation? Supposing you decide to give 1/10, based on the old system that the tithes, that the charity you give should be 1/10 of your net income. Let's say you give 1/10 of your total time every day available, every day and night. It'll be about 2.5 hours. If you spend 2.5 hours on meditation and spend 21.5 hours on other things, where will the scale tilt? To other things. It's not enough. 2.5 hours is not enough. Because you are spending far more time on other things than what you're spending on the real thing of meditation. Then, Master, how much should we do? He says, ideally, Great Master says, ideally, you should meditate for 21.5 hours and do other things for 2.5 hours. That's the ideal way. Master, how can we do 21.5 hours? We have other things to do in this world. We have jobs to do, food to cook, work to do, travel, all those things we have to do. How can we do 21.5 hours? He said, actually, it's very simple. If the work you do, you say you are doing that work not because of earning a livelihood or because you have to do it, but because you want to do it because Master says do it. It's meditation. If you can associate your Master to any work you are doing, it counts equal to meditation. Because meditation is the art of pulling your attention and you are focusing attention while doing work on something that will help you when you sit inside for 2.5 hours. If you are thinking of the Master, if you are doing your Simran, your repetition, while walking, cooking, doing your chores, daily chores, if all the time you're doing Simran and remembering the face of your beloved Master, it's as good as meditation. Great Master's own grandson, Purushottam Singh, joined the army, and he was stationed somewhere about 100 miles away from the Dera. And one day he comes to Great Master, who was also his grandfather and also his master. He said, Master, I had decided my life will be dedicated to you. I'll sit near your feet and do meditation, and that'll be my life. But where have you sent me in destiny to join a military camp somewhere? I'm so far away, can't come and see you. I think I should resign my job and come and sit at your feet and be devoted to you. Great Master said, go back and join your unit. When you do any work in that job, think you are doing for Master, it's as good as meditation and better than sitting in my feet and thinking of other things. Explained, meditation is not merely a ritual. We make it into a ritual. Meditation is what we should continue all the time. Every time you remember your beloved, you are in love. It's meditation. Every time you can think of that Master of yours, it's meditation. When you miss your Master, is it not meditation? Is it not the growth of love and devotion in you? How would you miss your Master? Therefore, if we are doing this all day's work, with continuous repetition of our Simran, with thought of our Master, remembering his face, remembering small events that have happened with him, if we are doing that, it's equivalent to meditation. It prepares you for future journey as much as sitting down with your eyes closed would do. Therefore, meditation has to be done all the time. What about night time when we sleep? Great Master explained, if you do meditation for half an hour, just before you sleep, that meditation will continue during your sleep. Supposing you are repeating the Simran, the words, for half an hour just before sleeping, and you wake up in the middle of the night, you'll find you're still repeating that. Repetition of words is to control the mind, not to think of other things, and can be made into a habit. Repetition of words, the mantras, is not necessarily to lead you anywhere. It's for local use. It is only for use. Meditation by repetition of words takes you nowhere beyond the astral plane. It does not take you beyond the mind at all. It's a mental function to repeat words. But the repetition of words, when we make it a habit, which we can do by trying to repeat all the time. If you make it a habit, it becomes very easy. Repetition requires no effort at all. It becomes a habit of the mind. And you know the mind is habit forming, always habit forming. It forms one habit after another. If you make a habit of repeating the words and you go to sleep, after half an hour of meditation on words, the words continue throughout the night. You wake up in the morning, you are still meditating. Therefore, Great Master said, if you follow this, what about the missing 2.5 hours? You said you should do 21.5 hours. This way you can do 24 hours. Great Master said, no, I am allowing for some 2.5 hours when your mind and attention is required for some important paperwork or some important meeting where you have to give your attention. That is normally not more than 2.5 hours. The rest is routine. So he gave a tip on how to do meditation for 21.5 hours. Otherwise, we are trapped in time. Events have been loaded into this time, and we are being dragged by those events through attachments, desires. There's nothing that binds us here except desire leading to attachment. We get attached. Then we can't get rid of that thought. If you want to know who you are attached to, what your attachments are, try meditation. It's a very good way. When you try to sit behind the eyes, all those things will come back and pull you out. It's like being tied down by ropes all over. You see so many strings tying you out. This one pulls you, then this one pulls you. You try to pull back. You say, no, I want to meditate. I don't want to remember this. That's such a sad situation when we have to fight the mind like that. Because supposing all the time you say, my mind is trying to think of other things, I want to bring it back to meditation. I start my repetition, I start my Simran, The mind starts thinking something else and I am not repeating. I suddenly find out I am not repeating the words. I am thinking of something else. And I say, no more. And I start repeating again. Then the mind comes and pulls something else, and I find after a few seconds, after a few minutes, I am not repeating the words at all. I pull it back and fight the mind. If this is the style of meditation we are having, what will happen after 2.5 hours? We'll be totally tired and exhausted because we did such a big battle. We thought we won every battle with the mind, and yet we lost the war. We lost the war because we spent all our time fighting. So it has a very limited role to fight with the mind. It's a limited role till we can convince ourselves that there is something worth looking for. When we say there's something worth looking for, and we explore the space inside, not only repeat like a parrot, but repeat in order to not think of other things as much as possible and explore what is happening inside. Go around, fly, look up, look on the side, stay in the center. If we start doing that, we get some visions, some experiences. Stars come up, colors come up, different kind of experiences come up, waterfalls consisting of lights come up. Simple experiences start coming up. Illuminated experiences come up. We see buildings lit up with light. We see we are flying over some land. All those little experiences make it interesting to stay there. That is necessary. That takes away the fight with the mind. Meditation should be treated as if it is a scientific exploration of the space inside your head, behind the eyes. If that is not done, then we are making it a ritual. Then what's the difference between going to a temple or a church or a synagogue and just attending service and come back the same way we went? Instead of going that, we are now doing 2.5 hours. Willy-nilly, somehow we are doing it. What are you doing it for? You're not obliging anybody by doing that. You're supposed to do it to get something out of it. And to get something out of it, understand why we are doing it. We are doing it because our attention has been thrown outside and we are unable to look what is happening inside. If we do happen to look inside, strange things happen better than just flashes of light or flashes of color. You're able to pull inside. You find you have another body of yours, a totally different body, a body that does not follow the laws of physical nature. Just like a dream, which is a lower state of level of consciousness. It looks like a lower state of level of consciousness. Just like when we go to dream, the laws that operate a dream do not apply to the physical world. For example, in a dream you can fall off from a cliff and you don't get hurt. In a dream you can be in one location, you can be in Los Angeles today and you can be in Chicago 1 second later, it looks normal in a dream. It doesn't look normal here at all. Therefore, the laws that control the experiences at different levels are different. When you withdraw your attention to your astral self, you find the laws are different. Even the time is different. Even the nature of time is different. Here, time is completely out of your control. You cannot hold even a nanosecond. It flows. It looks like time flies. Or maybe you are flying over time. And time is static, or maybe time is flowing, you are static, something is happening, but you have no control over it. At least in the astral plane, you have some control over it. You can hold a particular experience for as long as you like. You can't do that here. The nature of time is different. Time still flows. Events still come the same way. Because when we talk of an astral self, when we say we have an astral body inside this body, and when we leave the physical body, we go to astral body. What is the astral body made up of? Have you ever contemplated what is that body? This body we know is made of these cells and substances and blood and skin and tissues. We know what this body is made of. Do we know what the astral body is made up of? The astral body is made up only of sense perceptions. And there's nothing else in it. It has the capacity to have all the sense perceptions we are having in the physical body, except they are much sharper. because the cover upon the sense perceptions is not there, and this body provides a cover upon them, and we see through the physical system. The sense perceptions per se are the astral body. Therefore, the astral body takes the same shape as this because we are using the same shape of this body to experience our sense perceptions, our tactile sense, our sense of smell. The way it's located on the physical body appears to be the same way it's located there and looks like it's an overlap. We would not be able to have any sense perceptions if we did not have an astral body. When we say we are seeing something, we are actually seeing with the astral body through a cover, through the lenses of the physical body. If that were not there, we wouldn't see. We wouldn't be able to touch. We wouldn't be able to do anything that we call sense perception. Astral body is made up of sense perceptions and provides the sense perceptions through the physical body to the extent it can. If your eyes get musty, your lenses get dark, and you've got cataract and you can't see clearly, it's a physical ailment. It's not an astral ailment. A person who has this problem, when he meditates and goes into the astral body, he has better than 20/20 clear vision. Everything looks so clear there. The rules that apply to that state are different than the rules that apply here. Time is one of the factors where you can check that you can stop time, stop an event which you can't do here. But you can go further. Supposing you withdraw your attention from the astral self and go to the inner self, which is the creative self, the causal self, which has caused all experience to take place, which has created time and space, which has created everything, which has created the universal mind, which has created all that the mind can ever imagine, which has been worshipped as the ultimate creator by most of the people, including the gurus and masters, the yogis. They have called that the ultimate stage. Because there's nothing more than you can visualize, aspire for, desire for, seek for, than that with your mind. When you reach that state, you wonder what is that made of. We have left our physical body, at least the awareness of it we have left behind. We have left the awareness of sense perceptions behind. What are we having the awareness of now? We are having awareness of direct perception, of concepts, of things that make up things. We are able to experience that with that causal self. What is the causal self? What's the substance that makes the causal self? It's nothing but our own mind. The mind is the causal self. It's not there's a body in which we have a mind. The mind is the body. The mind is the causal self and creates everything. That has no form because it does not operate either in the astral self or in the physical self through these forms. Therefore, it's formless. We create a form for the sake of experience, and it can create any form. But we create a sort of formless form with it. And our speed of flight, our speed of experience is so rapid. It's the most rapid speed of experience you can ever have. And that is only because it's the speed at which the mind can think. Thinking is one of the functions of the mind. Thinking is a function of the causal body. Thinking is like a heartbeat of this physical body. This physical body survives on heartbeats. It survives with the blood circulating, carrying all the nutrition everywhere. Otherwise, the body doesn't last. Like that, thoughts, the thinking process, the process of continuously speaking out, either in words, language, or otherwise. That's the function of the mind, and without that it dies. Therefore, even in the physical body, when you think of your mind, it'll always be speaking. It's the greater speaker. It's an endless speaker. It speaks continuously. There's no way you can stop it. I have yet to meet a person, because we constantly talk of stilling the mind. Unless you still your mind, you can't get anything. How do you still your mind? There was a colleague of mine at Harvard University who
My dear Holy Family, I sent this beautiful talk to WhatsApp if you want to continue listening. And now it's time to meditate and experience the things that Master tells us about. So if we can forget about the world outside and the body below and come up here, to the headquarters of God, of Master, of the kingdom of God, and knock with the Simran, with the power of Simran, slowly with the tongue of thought at intervals. And I wish you the best meditation. I hope to see you tomorrow for another holy day in Holy Father God, and I'll keep Zoom on for 20 minutes so we can meditate together.